Hello class, this is Dr. Hardin. And I've had a few questions, very good questions actually, about how would I like to see the PowerPoint voiceover presentations. And I thought that I would send you a quick video giving you my expectations and kind of giving you a style that I think will prove very helpful in your ministry. Often when we look at video presentation voiceovers, it's really quite painful to endure them. And what I mean by that is individuals will take a PowerPoint presentation, they will fill it with text, and then they will basically read the text to the audience. That is a horrible way to do a presentation. First, it does not engage your reader. As a matter of fact, it tends to turn your listener, but your listener is having to be a reader because they're following along with what you've said. And so what I want to do today is kind of give you a quick approach and a way to think about these presentations that I think will make you a much more captivating or engaging speaker and will help you get your point across. Because remember, this is a visual art, that of a presentation. The voiceover provides the narrative that goes along with it. So with that kind of thinking, let's kind of just step in to what I'm expecting. First, I want you to think about what you'll be doing. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be reading a chapter from your textbook, and you're going to summarize that chapter. But at first, when you go through the textbook, it just seems like a desert of endless verbiage. It's words after words after words, and if you're in a hurry, you'll quickly take the highlights of things, and then you'll just throw together something haphazardly, and that's really not what needs to happen. What needs to happen is you need to read carefully and thoughtfully, perhaps outline the book. And as you're doing that, think about what's the main idea that the author is trying to drive home. And as you think about that, you'll see maybe there are some supporting ideas, but think in terms of an outline structure where the main ideas float to the surface. And that's really what you want to capture in your presentation. What's this chapter about? Why did this author use this approach or this subject matter? How's he tackling it? One of the ways I like to look at it is I want you to imagine 3 or 4 people that are experts in a certain field. They're sitting in a Starbucks around one of those little round tables, and everyone is offering something specific and unique about that subject matter under concern. Well, your textbook writer wrote the chapter he or she wrote in order to highlight something that we didn't know yet. And so that's the core idea that you're trying to search for in this chapter. Once you find it, it will give you your main thrust for this thing we call a presentation. But as those ideas, as you think about what's being written, as you take careful notes, what will happen is a progression will come into mind. It'll almost be like a storyboard. And what we'll do is what I want you to do is I want you to think about, how do I tell this story? This person's talking about whatever it may be. How do I tell the story that is compelling, that would lead my readers to actually even want to go to the book to research it more? And so think about how someone pitches a story or a sitcom series or an episode or a movie to a studio, and they do it through storyboarding. They literally will have scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, so on and so forth, to where quickly your audience can listen to the pitch you're making, and the idea is to grab their attention and then show them how the points unfold in such a way that there is substance there that makes them want to think further, understand further, know more about the subject you're talking about. And that's done through a story. Now, what we need to do there is, this is where the PowerPoint presentation tool can be so effective. A PowerPoint presentation tool is nothing more than an electronic storyboard. So you have to think scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. Now, here's where most people mess up. They think of the storyboard. They'll use one of the templates provided by Microsoft, and they'll just plug in a bunch of bulleted points and things. If you're trying to watch, or if you're about to spend money, let's say you're NBC, and someone's come to you with a new sitcom, how likely are you going to be to purchase that sitcom if it's a list of bulleted items? Chances are you're not. However, if they take everything and it's well thought out and it has rhyme or reason, what they'll do is, and it is visual, they will actually be more apt to buy the story. So that brings us to our first really main important point here, is after you've kind of got the layout in mind, type up a script, a word for word script that will follow along with the storyboards you've created in your head, or even into the thought processes of okay, scene 1's going to cover this, and scene 2's going to cover that, and scene 3's going to cover that. And what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to use, first of all, have the script, because the script keeps you from going off target or getting off the reservation, or a lot of that is very painful to listen to. So have a script written out and be ready to read it. Now, what you can also do is, when you attach your presentation, also attach a copy of your script. That way, and with your script, then you can even have page numbers, a bibliography. If you refer to something, let's say you referred to Mere Christianity from C.S. Lewis, you can have that in the script, and then your listener can then take that script and explore further if he or she desires to do so. So always type up a complete manuscript of the talk you're going to give. Tie each main point to one of your slides that you've created as you storyboarded everything out. Now, the thing about storyboards that's very important is use pictures. Don't use those boring templates. And you may say, well, Dr. Hardin, I don't understand how to do that. It's real simple. Use blank slides and then insert images, and you can get images. The images you're seeing in this presentation are royalty free. They come from a website called unsplash.com. There's another one called Pixabay, Pixabay.com, which will allow you to download royalty free, really high quality graphics that help you tell your story. So use pictures. Don't use tons and tons of text. And you may say, well, I need to use some text. That's fine. What I want you to do is, you've come up with your main idea, you've storyboarded it out, you've taken pictures that are appropriate. You've written your script first, let me say that. You've matched it. So now you've taken and you've used specific appropriate pictures to go with each slide. And if you say, well, I still need some writing on there. Well, you might. So here's kind of a general rule of thumb. I'm going to call it the 10-20-30 principle. And it applies not just to the fonts and things like that, but it applies to these slide presentations. First, no more than 10 slides per presentation. And within each slide, only one idea. I will let you get away with 12 if you have like an intro slide and a conclusion slide. You can have 10 in the middle, but no more than 10 slides. And make sure that those are very specific and they all serve a purpose, not just to carry more text. So you should never have more than 10 slides in the body of your presentation. People can't keep up with it and you'll lose them. Second, these kind of presentations should go no longer than 20 minutes. If it takes you longer than 20 minutes to say what you need to say, then that's 2 presentations. So limit it. Now I'm not requiring you to speak for 20 minutes, but by the way, when you type up a manuscript and try to read it out loud, time yourself. You'll see about how far you are. But these presentations should be no more than 20 minutes. So no more than 10 body slides, let's call them. That doesn't include the intro and the conclusion, but no more than 10 slides, and then no longer than 20 minutes. Now here's the kicker. You cannot, or you should not, use a font size less than 30. If you use a font size less than 30, you're cramming stuff in. Remember, you're going to attach a manuscript with your presentation. So if I need to find the fine print, I can just look it up in the manuscript. So if you need to use words, use them very sparingly, use them on purpose, but use them with a big font that steps out from the image you've created, and that way it'll stick in the person's mind. So follow these steps so far. Make sure that you research carefully the chapter. You come up with the main idea. You use that main idea to be the driving thrust of your presentation. As you think about how that idea is achieved from the author, create a storyboard that will tell that story visually. Type up a manuscript, which is like a voiceover narration. Think about a wildlife documentary. You never see the narrator, but he tells you the story, and he tells it as pictures are going. So do the same thing, except you have still photos instead of a moving picture most of the time in these presentations. So you'll type up a manuscript, you'll develop a storyboard, you will use images that you download royalty-free from unsplash.com or pixabay.com or some other ones. Google's got one, I believe, that you can use. And then after that, so then you'll follow the 10-20-30 principle, which deals with no more than 10 slides in the body, no more than 20 minutes long, and no font less than 30 in its point size. So after you follow those and you draw your conclusion home, the idea is to circle back, re-emphasize the main point, and then even possibly speculate on future questions or invite your audience to bring up questions. And that's how you tie it all back in. In the conclusion, don't introduce new information. Just put a bow on what you've already told people. So tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And then ask if there are any questions that need clarification. Now, if you'll do these things, I think what you'll find is you'll have a very robust presentation. You'll have a written document there that you wrote that you can refer to later. Because trust me, when you go back to looking at these presentations in the future, let's say, you won't remember what you said, but if you have a manuscript there, you'll know exactly what you said. And so that's kind of how you need to do it. So read carefully, identify the main thrust or idea, storyboard it with your PowerPoint software, write a manuscript to go along with that storyboard, follow the 10-20-30 principle, no more than 10 body slides, 20 minutes long, 30-point font at the minimum, and then circle back around, re-summarize what you've told them. So remember, you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them, you're going to tell them, and then you're going to tell them what you told them, and then invite any questions. That being so, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out via email. I'd love to entertain any questions you have about that. Also, if you'll pay attention to what we did in this slide presentation, I followed every one of these requirements to a T to give you a model to see how you can follow yours too. I really look forward to these assignments and these voiceover PowerPoints. If you have any questions, like I said, let me know. God bless. We'll talk again soon.